Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody is doing good today. We are just going to be doing some TV shopping. Yep, Super Bowl TV shopping. It is that season. A lot of good TV sales out there. First of all, before we jump into all of that, I just want to say what's up to everybody. What's up to all the early birds in the chat? So I'm gonna call out a few names here. We got David in the house. What's going on, David? We got Chrome in the house. John Hooper, MM. How you guys doing, man? I always want to say what's up to the early birds. Take time out to show how much I appreciate everybody that comes by to these streams. It really does mean a lot to me. And yeah, man, I hope everybody's doing great today. So, if you guys have any questions at all regarding the TVs that you're looking to buy, maybe you're just like having a dilemma, you're not sure which TV to get, we're going to sort through all of that and I'm going to help you guys look through all of the different factors that are out there regarding TVs. And I'm going to look at every single budget that's available. So, you know, we're not going to leave anyone out in this stream for sure, making sure that we hit on every type of TV and every size of TV. But at the end of the day, this is about the Super Bowl TV shopping. So we are going to be focusing on some bigger TVs, of course. And there's definitely some really good deals out there, especially if you have seen the S89C 77-inch is $17.99 right now. Absolutely insane deal. So yeah, we're gonna highlight that right there. You can see David talking about it. David Flutie talking about that he just bought an S89C for $1,800 at Best Buy. Incredible. Yeah, that is definitely the deal that I'm going to highlight, like first and foremost, because it is one of the deals that to me is a great deal. I also really like the TCL 98-inch for $2,000. If you have space for that, wow, that's a really good deal. Not the best TV in the world, but where are you gonna get a 98-inch TV for $2,000 usually? And sometimes when you're looking at TVs and you just want the size, quality is not gonna matter as much. Um, at the end of the day, Classy in the house. What's up, Classy? I hope you're doing good today, man. I know you said you were feeling sick. Hopefully you do get better soon. I just got over some sickness myself. So I'm happy to be able to stream today. I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to stream Friday, so I'm glad I'm feeling a little bit better. But yeah, man, I need a new chair myself, so I need a new comfortable chair. That is definitely something on the list. I'm trying to find a chair that I can easily move around. Um, I don't want something that's gonna be stationary. In the setup that I have right now, I like to have a lot of movement to move things around. I need to be very flexible with my whole entire setup. I need to be able to have things on wheels. Things have to move, man. Um, so yeah, so we're gonna jump into the TV deals right now. And here we are going to see some really interesting TV deals. And the first one I'm going to highlight here will be the TCL. Um, but it is a really good deal. I like it a lot. I think that it's one of the TV deals that if you have the space for it and you need, say, a really nice living room TV, and you have the 98-inch screens real estate, I should say, where you can fit something like that, pretty decent. Like I said, it's not the most amazing TV in the world, but it is going to be one that I can say, if I had the space for it, I would get it. It's like if you look at ultra short throw projectors, they're not the best quality in the world relative to something like an OLED TV or say a really high class mini LED TV. But size is really gonna trump a lot of that sometimes. To me, the immersion really comes into play. So a lot of people don't like quality of these TVs or ultra short throws, but yeah, sometimes the immersion factor just kind of wins out. And maybe it doesn't for you though. It really just depends on who you are. So here's the deal that I'm talking about right now. This is the TCL S5 98-inch, and I went ahead and I linked it in the chat if you guys are interested in it. I will be doing this throughout the day, so like I said, we're just doing like a real interactive live shopping experience, and I want to make sure we cover everything, right? So I linked that in the description. Classy says I couldn't get the 98-inch S5. I definitely recommend the S89C over it. The quality difference is huge, sticking to 77. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like the quality difference is going to be massive. If you're talking about S89C, talking about compared to an S5, it's really just getting it for the immersion. Um, and if you have the space for it, maybe a 98-inch actually makes more sense than a 77-inch, depending on how much space you have. So yeah. But yeah, we're gonna highlight the S89C next because it is definitely a top deal. Yeah, the Hisense ones are really nice as well. I believe they're all sold out though. That's the really kind of unfortunate part about all of that is I believe the 98-inch Hisense or the 100-inch Hisense is sold out. So let's see. Another U8 was sold out. Let's see. Doesn't seem to be popping up. Let me try a different chat search. Yeah, for some reason it's not popping up for me. Um, I can get it to pop up though. I know the model names. If you have a little bit more of a budget to spend and you want a 98-inch TV, this Q80C is pretty good as well. The QM8 is also pretty awesome. That's a 98-inch. So let's see, 98-inch TV. Let's see what pops up. So there's that. There's the QM8. Oh, that's 85-inch. There's the QM8. That's $6,000 though. So that is a huge like difference in price. Um, the U76N is what it was called. Let's see if it pops up. I don't know why it doesn't want to. Here, I usually could get it to pop up when we search TV. When we search by the newest, see what pops up. If you guys are ever looking for like the new TVs that pop up, this is the best way to do it. Go to TV, and then just search by the new. Oh, there, okay, there it is. Yeah, it's unavailable. Your location may vary though. This might be just like location based. So that's a lot of the time how it is at Best Buy. It's location based. So check into that. Um, but yeah, $2,000. This is a full array local dimming TV, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, full array local dimming, 144 hertz refresh rate. That's going to be better than the TCL offering for sure. It's just this is unavailable right now. So that's the downside to that. All right, let's highlight the big daddy though, because this is the one I wanted to highlight for everybody. This one is the awesome deal. Not that the other one wasn't awesome, but this one is incredible. I don't know how to tell you how rare a 77-inch OLED TV at this price is, let alone a quantum dot OLED like this one right here. To find it at this price is pretty remarkable. They're just really trying to clear these out, it looks like. Maybe trying to make some space for 2024 models. I'm not really sure. But the fact that this isn't sold out yet kind of blows my mind, because I thought for sure this might sell out pretty quickly. But it did not. It did not sell out. So I'm gonna get that link for you guys in the chat here, because it is such an incredible TV. Let's see. They pop in if you keep an eye out on them. All right, I'll see. I know somebody who's trying to grab one, so I'll make sure they get that information. So this is the one we're looking at right now. This is the S89C 77-inch for $17.99. This is an incredible offer. And I just linked it in chat. So yeah, that one is that's just a kind of speechless sometimes. Um, when I look at that deal and I'm like, man, that's just fantastic. And SD, that's a good question. Is the low price due to bad QD OLED sale numbers, or are they just trying to clear out panel inventory? They probably just have a lot of them. The fact that it's not sold out yet tells me that they have a lot of them. And I don't think it's like bad sales or anything like that. I don't think it's anything related to that. It might be the fact that there's just not enough like people that know what this is. They're not aware of QD OLED yet. They're not quite sure why it's different than the other OLED TVs out there. Maybe there's just not enough you know, people that are in the know. Agent 19 with a question here says, would the C3 42-inch be a good buy looking for occasional gaming and mainly watching content? I also got my eye on the QN90C 43-inch. Is that better in the long run? All right, so let's compare those two. I did get a chance to see both of these TVs, and the way that I look at it is I personally, you know, think that you're better off going with an OLED TV in that size because the viewing angles on the QN90s are pretty bad in that size. So, like, any shift to the left or the right is going to cause some real bad off angle viewing in terms of like color shifts, and certain colors might start to look like a gradient even though it's a solid color is what I noticed, and it's not something that I loved personally about it. So we'll go and compare these two right now on the website. And we can go 48 inch, still 43 inch, right? 42 inch C3. They're the same price. And one thing to keep aware of, if you like, say, the Samsung features, for example, um, but you want them in an OLED TV, Samsung will be having a 42-inch OLED TV this year. It's not gonna be QD OLED, of course. It's gonna be a WOLED. But if you want, say, like Game Motion Plus in your 42-inch, but you just don't want an LG for some reason right now, that's something to keep in mind that you can wait for this year's models. But between these two, honestly, Agent 19, I would probably just say you're better off. I blocking it. Yeah, my head's blocking it. Okay. Um, I think you're better off going with the C3 personally because of the whole thing with the viewing angles, and I'm assuming you might be, using it a lot as a monitor, maybe not. But as a monitor, I like the C3 a little bit better. The Q90C wasn't bad. I could get away with it, but I personally think in this size range, I would go with the LG C3. That's just me personally. So yeah, that's what I would do. Check me out with a question here. He says, suggested a QM8 85-inch to a friend rather than a QN90C. What are your thoughts on the 85-inch range, not OLED for movies and sports? So I think the QM8's fine. I think it's a great TV overall. I don't think it's better than the QN90C though. Having seen both, not an 85-inch size, but having seen both, I prefer the QN90C. Now, there's a lot of good deals in the 85-inch screen size for LCD TVs. So we're gonna take a look at that right now. Let me take these off of the compare and then we'll go to 85-inch here. So, whoops. I resized that a little bit wrong. Move that over. Now, so looking at what's available, the QN90C is definitely more expensive than the QM8 right now. Where are we at? I wouldn't get the Q80C over the QM8, so that would be a no-go for me. The QM8's 1800. That's a quite, that's a significant price gap there. And then of course you've got the X90L, which is a great TV as well. You're not gonna get as, good of like black level and performance in terms of like perceived contrast is gonna be better on the QN90C than the X90L, for example. Just a different way they kind of handle their local dimming. Um, and just in general, I think that the contrast level is gonna be better. The X93L's price is very unfortunate for $34.99. Like when you look at the X93L and all the other sizes, it's competitive, but in the 85-inch size, it's not competitive at all. So that one's off the list. You can't really consider that one in that sense. So I think it'd be between these four, and then you want to throw in the U8 as well. Um, the U8 the U8K from Hisense. Throw that in the mix here too. The best bang for your buck's definitely going to be the Sony or the QM8 from TCL, or the U8K. But the absolute like best TV out of the bunch here is going to be the QN90C. That's going to be the one I would get. If like you just wanted to get the best 85-inch TV you could get, that's the one I would get. Now, if you just want to have like the best bang for your buck kind of situation, it'd be either the QM8 or the U8K or the X90L if you want some good image processing behind it, but not as good in terms of like your overall contrast performance. That makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Um, Here, I'm gonna try to move myself because yeah, I'm in the way a lot. Yeah, I still suggest 77-inch S89C as the big TV as well. Um, just depends on how far you sit, I guess. Just ordered the 75-inch X93L yesterday for 2400. Interesting. What was your thinking behind that? Why? What made you pull the trigger on the X93L? I'm curious. Do you think I can get away with leaving an OLED TV on all day? I mean, are, if you're actively watching it and your content is kind of being varied, then yes. But if you're gonna plan on getting an OLED TV, leaving it on all day, say like a news channel or something, I don't think that's like great. But if you're gonna have a TV that's like being actively used, constantly being switched, then it's fine. Like my OLED TV stays on pretty much all day, and it has for the last how many years? I keep my OLED TVs on. And, sometimes I go to screensavers. Sometimes I use my Mac screensaver and stuff on the OLED monitors that I'm using. But you could certainly watch TV on an OLED all day. It's just like don't get in the habit of leaving it on CNN or something like that. Like if you're somebody who watches nothing but CNN, I don't recommend a OLED. I really, you know, um, static logos over time can be an issue, but as long as you vary your content, you'll be fine. So I don't really have a main TV because I I rotate into different rooms all the time. When I'm in this room right now, my S95B monitor is kind of like my go-to TV, and then also I have a C1 in here and a 880L as well. But in my bedroom, I'm using a U8K, and so that's what I'm watching when I'm going to sleep. And then in the living room, I have a 77-inch A80J, and that's kind of like the main living room TV right now. I caved in and bought a 55-inch C3 since the S90C didn't price match it. Interesting. I'm curious to why you didn't look at the Sony A75L because that's the one that I think I would get if I was in the 55-inch range. It would be the A75L for sure. So let's highlight that because I think it's a fantastic option for a lot of people. Um, both in the 55-inch size and the 65-inch size. If you guys have any questions about this TV, let me know. But it's essentially a A80L just without, you know, as good of a speaker system, and it has a different stand design and it doesn't have a built-in mic. And pretty much that's the only thing that you're missing. So if you have your own dedicated setup in regards to sound, then the A75L is really no different than the A80L, so just get the A75L in that case. Um, but yeah, I'm not second guessing your decision, but if you were not aware, this TV is out there, and this one is absolutely the choice for me over the C3 for sure. I see a lot of people talking about the S90C. Is QD OLED really that much better than W OLED? Yes, it's just better. It's just flat out better technology. So it gets brighter. The color brightness is better. It has better uniformity, usually, most of the time. And yeah, it's just better overall. Like if you compare it side by side, you will clearly see that the QD OLED is typically better and it's visually better. So when they're the same price, of course you go with the QD OLED. That's why I think the S90C is so talked about, such a no-brainer over the C3. Just think of it this way. Sony is using QD OLED in their best TV, the A95L. There's a reason for that. They see it as the best OLED technology, and so does everybody else in the industry right now. MLA, enhanced OLEDs are really good as well, but they do still have, downsides that don't quite match up as well to QD OLED at the moment. So that's why. But yeah, it's absolutely just a better technology overall. You weren't aware of this one? Yeah, a lot of people aren't aware of this one. And it's interesting because I really like it a lot. I think it's a nice, fantastic like middle ground to the A80L. Or not middle ground, but it's like a cheaper A80L. And if you're not really needing the sound benefits of the A80L, then this is the one you would definitely want to gravitate towards. Curious on your thoughts of the S90C 83 inch. Swapped it for an 83-inch G3, and to my surprise, it's way better, even better than the A90J. So you swapped the S90C with a G3, and the G3 is way better, or the S90C is way better? I think I'm a little confused on the wording there. Not that you worded it bad, just maybe I just don't understand. But curious on your thoughts of the S90C 83 inch. So I haven't seen the S90C 83 inch, that's for sure. But typically all the 83-inch OLED TVs are going to be very similar. Very similar. They're all using the same type of panel at the moment. Anthony Ortiz says, AKG, hope all is well. I'm stuck between the LG G3, the Samsung S90C, maybe S95C, but don't want to have the One Connect issues. No TV in this current space. This TV will be used 40% for gaming, 40% for streaming, and 20% for sports. So, yeah, I mean, like, with that in mind, the 40% gaming thing, I typically like S90C better than G3 for gaming. So that's just a personal thing. I think, you're not going to get a better looking game mode than what's with the Samsung QD OLEDs right now, or really any QD OLED for that matter. Even the A95L QD OLED falls into that. So for me, QD OLED is just what I would go with gaming. It has the perfect blend of brightness and color, and it just gives you all of that. The G3's game mode is a little disappointing. There is some workarounds to that, but it does get very bright. Um, I'd say it's very comparable though to the S90C. Like comparing the S90C to the G3 in regular content, it's very comparable. The G3 can get brighter. It's not by a big margin though. So I personally think like most people should save and get the S90C, or better yet the S89C if you're in the 77-inch range, because just the deal on it is phenomenal and you're saving so much money. And at the end of the day, like, if you're saving a lot of money for getting almost the same type of picture quality, then it's a no-brainer for me to go with the S90C in that situation. There's some benefits to the G3. Um, you know, certain picture preference, people will prefer the G3 because you can really push the G3 like beyond like the traditional limits of, let's say, if you're a fan of vivid mode, for example, you can really get a lot out of the expression enhancer, um, the actual dynamic tone mapping is it's gonna be brighter and kind of like more impactful to those type of people than say the S90C um active tone mapping. It's way more like in your face pronounced, where active tone mapping isn't as in your face like that. So I don't know the best way to put that into words without just saying, like, I think, if you're somebody who likes picture pop, the G3 is gonna be a better looking TV to most people in those type of modes than the S90C or S95C. But if you're not that type of person, then there's not much difference between the G3 and the S90C in that case. So hopefully that kind of clears it up. And like if we're talking about technology wise, the benefits to QD OLED is that you are getting pretty good uniformity across the board most of the time. So you're not really gonna have much uniformity issues from what I've experienced with QD OLED. Um, so there's that benefit. And like I mentioned, the overall color brightness is gonna be better on a QD OLED. which might come into play where it that in reality isn't as big of a factor as, it's made out to be, because you really don't know what you're missing when you have a WOLED. You really can't see that difference unless it's next to a WOLED, I guess is the best way to put it. And yeah, I would agree with that, Classy. I don't think that Samsung has bad upscaling at all. Um, them, I see everybody to be pretty good with upscaling in general. Sony kind of has more upscaling tools at their disposal. And people would argue if they're upscaling tools in the first place, but you can use them as, say, an upscaling tool. For example, like reality creation is in a way an upscaling tool. It can make your picture look better than it looked originally. So in my mind, I look at that as upscaling a bit. And it's even called reality creation upscaling. So it it's one of those things where you can definitely argue about like who has the better upscaling in that sense. But like if we're just talking about traditional, like you feed this into it, this is what you get upscaling. There's no brand that's like really bad between those three. LG has certainly improved over the years. I will say that. And then okay, we got a super chat from FOMO. What's up, FOMO? Hope you're doing good. He says saying hello and giving to your Vision Pro fund. I appreciate that. I do really want a Vision Pro. I'm very jealous. By the way, some viewers are not buying the discounted S89C, but waiting for the 100-inch U76N to be available. It's nuts. Yep, I've heard the same thing. A lot of people are saying they're holding out for the U76N, and I mean, look, if you have space for an 100-inch TV, the U76N is fantastic. It's a full array local dimming TV. It has 144 hertz capability, and it's 100 inches for $2,000. Like that's unheard of. So like I absolutely understand the mindset there. But those of you that can't fit a 100-inch TV, man, just get the S89C. Like I'm gonna go back to it right now. I might as well just float on that window because that TV is worth like screaming from the mountaintops on, because where do you find TVs like that? Like that price? Like this is the kind of dream sales we think of. Like when we think of Black Friday sales, when we think about Super Bowl sales, this is like the dream scenario right here. The S89C for 17.99. Crazy. Um, but like the U76N, if that comes back into stock for those people, they're gonna love it. But yeah, thanks. I appreciate you, FOMO, for donating to that Vision Pro fund. I absolutely do want one. I can't wait for your review on it. Um, I've sat like in this chair and I just thought like I'm gonna buy one so many times. I'm so like I'm so conflicted. I'm watching all these reviews and I think it would be such an awesome movie watching device. Solo movie watching device. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on like the movie watching experience, because I've heard that you can kind of see some glare when there's really bright highlights in HDR. You can see like the glare of the lens. So I'm curious to see if that deteriorates from like your viewing process, from actually like, or takes you out of the moment at all. Like I'd love to hear feedback on that once you check all that stuff out. But yeah, congrats on the Apple Vision Pro. That's dope. So let me scroll through chat some more. So if I'm behind on questions, don't worry. I will be getting to your question eventually. And if you want me to get to your question right away, the best way to do it is to do what FOMO just did and send a super chat. I do appreciate those that end up doing that, and it supports the channel. So thank you, but it is not required, of course. I will answer all the questions that I see. And if I don't answer the question, just ask it again, and I'll make sure to get to it. Christian, thank you for the question. He says, Did you see the QN900D at CES? Really interested on the 98-inch if it's a reasonable price this year. I don't expect it to be any reasonable than last year's 98-inch 8K, so don't expect the price to come down significantly. I did see the QN900D. It was fantastic once again. It's fantastic every time I see it, to be honest with you. Um, the QN900C last year was something that blew me away. But yeah, this one blew me away again. And it's just because, like, with the way that they present it, is some really just awesome demo material, first of all. That is 8K demo material, and it's all fine detail, like like oriented material. So like you see like fur from animals, you could just see like the smallest little speck of dirt on them in like the finest details, and they make it really come to life. And there's a couple of demos that involve textures as well, and I think textures really show out on 8K TVs, especially of that size. So, yeah, it was something that definitely I was amazed with again. I just don't know how practical the QN900D is for most people because unless you're buying it in that 98-inch size, it's really hard to say like get that over say an 85-inch non 4K or non 8K TV or a 77-inch OLED, especially when you can get OLEDs at these prices. But yeah, no, I mean like if you're just looking for a really awesome TV and you have the money to spend on it, like that is going to be the TV that is going to blow people's minds if they see it in person. I promise you that if you saw one of those in person, it would be like, yeah, that's a stunning TV because there's a lot of brightness involved with it. There's so many dimming zones and they're controlled really great. Like there's a little bit of still like crushing of details at times because it's Samsung at the end of the day and that's what they kind of do. But I mean, wow, it's really great. So yeah, the 900D is awesome. That's honestly a good question. Hamza asks if they're gonna do a 98-inch prototype mini LED release. So whatever the prototype ends up being called, if they're gonna do a 98-inch release, I don't know. I mean, like that's the way the market's trending, right? So it would make sense for them to have some sort of 98-inch version. They have a 98-inch X90L, and yeah, I would imagine that they might have one in this size for the prototype, like if whatever that ends up being. But I don't know. I'm not sure. They might just stay with their like entry level full array. Not entry level, but like mid range full array for their 98-inch. But that's a good question. I don't That'll be one to bear watching. And Jedi Cowboy says, would you recommend an Apple Vision Pro over a TV? Having not seen the Apple Vision Pro yet, I struggle with that because there's a lot of factors that go into the Apple Vision Pro that a lot of people won't think about. And one of the biggest factors is going to be like fatigue and the weight of the actual device. And that's something that stopped me from buying one because I heard, after 2 hours of use, it really can get heavy. And if you're watching a movie or you're binge watching like a TV series, the last thing you want is like any sort of fatigue, whether that be eye fatigue or, you know, something that's like weighing you down, like your head, for example, like the Apple Vision Pro on your head. I think of it like that. If I'm binge watching, say like Outer Banks or something, I don't want that to be a factor. So that's the only thing that held me back. Now, I still can make an argument for like if you're a solo watcher, of course that this could replace a TV if you're a solo watcher. But it is only for solo watchers. So that is something you definitely ought to remember. Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I think it could for some people. I think it could be a smarter choice than buying a very expensive TV for some people. So That's something that's bears watching, especially if you're a fanatic of 3D movies. To be able to have the 3D in one eye each is an awesome concept, and I can't wait to hear how that works. So yeah, I'm just waiting for FOMO's review, honestly, because he's gonna be the one that can really give it to me as like a home theater enthusiast. Deox says that he bought this 77-inch S90C to replace the 65-inch C1, and I can understand what people say swapping to a G3, they feel better. LG processing is way better, upscaling, low bitrate sharpness. Interesting. You know, when I compare them side by side, I don't really feel that or see that. So it's an interesting thought why people might like the G3 or just the LG's processing better. The first thing that comes to my mind is maybe the way that they do the dynamic tone mapping. And dynamic tone mapping is one that is always on by default for like most HDR modes, and I don't think people really toggle it off. I think most people are using HDR tone mapping or dynamic tone mapping on when it comes down to like their LG TVs. And so I think there's this like affiliation with the that being on and LG's processing, because there's no doubt about it, the way that the dynamic tone mapping works on LG's TVs right now, it can really produce like a 3D kind of pop effect, just the way that they kind of do their HDR tone mapping. There's some downsides because it can, in my opinion, ruin the atmosphere of a picture or a movie or a game, whatever you're in. It can really mess that up because it will raise up shadows and it will raise up midtones that don't really need to be raised sometimes. So it's just something that some people will like it better than what Samsung does, and they'll associate that with upscaling and low bit rate sharpness when in reality, like, the low bit rate performance of a Samsung TV is pretty much the same as an LG TV, and I've tested this, like, vigorously, vigorously tested this. I've watched so much YouTube TV side by side, and I've done just low bit rate movies, streaming. I've tried Netflix, I've tried you name it, I've tried it side by side. And the result is LG and Samsung are both pretty mediocre to good as a result of that. And Sony just blows them out of the water when it comes to low bit rate. So I can see why people say that. And on the sharpness side of things, Samsung does apply like this little micro sharpening to things. And that might throw people off and make it feel kind of artificial or over sharpened in that sense. It really just depends on what you like. So you mentioned it, better separation for the foreground, background. Definitely most likely associated with the dynamic tone mapping on, I guarantee it. AKG, would you recommend a Best Buy warranty on the S89C? They aren't cheap, but it seems like TVs don't last as long as they used to be. You know, when it comes down to warranties on TVs, I don't think it's a bad idea. I really don't. So Best Buy's Geek Squad thing is pretty good because if something ever does happen to the TV, most of the time, don't quote me on this because sometimes I've heard some people say that they don't do it, but every time I've experienced something wrong with my TVs with that kind of warranty, they replace it with something equal to cost of what I paid at the time. So, or they give you a gift card. So, for example, Q7 my Q7FN last year started to die, and it didn't die. It's still a usable TV. It started to get these little streaks on the bottom of it from backlight bleed over time. And so, I called up Best Buy and I said, "Hey, can you look at this? What can we do about this?" They tried to see if they could order a replacement. They couldn't find a replacement, so they just pretty much gave me a gift card for the TV's amount, and they said do with the TV what you want. So you could either donate the TV, you could keep the TV. It really doesn't matter. So that's kind of cool because I got to keep the TV and I also got a gift card reimbursing me for the TV's amount, which I ended up just spending on another TV. So that's really cool. And the fact that they have that available is nice peace of mind. You have burn-in protection with that warranty as well. So with OLED TVs, you know, you're covered if that does happen. So yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all. All right, let's look through some chat here. Really great questions. All right. So before I get to more questions, there's a ton of them. So let me just is the S89C 500 more worth 500 more than the QM8? I would say absolutely it is. I would absolutely say that it is. Um, Open box deals are worth checking for sure. 100%. Most of the time, open box deals are just like buyer's remorse. That's it. Um, so absolutely look into that. Low bitrate streaming and handling is not upscaling. Just everyone mixes that up exactly. So much mix up there. Um, S89C over A75L for purely movie watching, TV watching. You know, I think you can make a case for the A75L in that case. You still would probably put the S90C over it just because you are getting a brighter picture overall. You know, you're getting brighter SDR, you're getting, you know, brighter movie watching, you're getting better HDR. So it still is like a brighter, better technology at the end of the day. But like if your focus is purely on you want clean image processing, good low bit rate streaming, then yeah, the Sony is really good in that sense and probably worth it over that. But still you are getting a brighter picture with the S90C. So it is something you kind of just gotta think what you like better. How much does brightness matter to you at the end of the day? S89C for 1800 plus total tech warranty and unlock to S95C performance is simply unbeatable. Yeah, I mean, especially if you want to do that extra unlock to the S95C. I don't know how much like worth it is to do that, but for those people that want to maximize their TV and to make it feel like a S95C, absolutely. It's a good deal. Like there's no other way to put it. It's a great deal. Vision Pro does look dope. And I cannot wait to try it. We got some super chats coming in. All right, let's get to those super chats. So EJJ says, anyone have a broken down 77-inch C1 laying around? Moving mine to replace it with the S89C. I hit a wall and the display is ruined. Oh my goodness. That's unfortunate. Um yeah, so that's a bummer. You never want to break something when moving a TV. That's like the worst case scenario. I remember I moved my 77-inch A80J downstairs and we started watching it and then all of a sudden it went to like a green screen and started doing some weird pixelated stuff. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with the TV, but it absolutely spooked me out. And I don't know what happened to make it do that at first, but it never did it again. But oh man, that is spooky. I would hate that. Sorry that happened to you. And then Getty G Man with super chat. Appreciate you on that. He says, how big of a gap in processing wise between Sony, LG, Samsung, and why other brands can't catch up to Sony? So personally, this is how I rank them. People will have some arguments against this, maybe. just really depends on how you're looking at things and what you're considering processing features and what you don't. Sony is by far the top to me. Like Sony by a good margin. I don't, the gap is it's there. It's not huge, but it is by a good margin that they're better. Then I would put Samsung. I think Samsung has pretty good processing overall, and I really do like what they do with the micro sharpening. It's very similar to what Sony is doing with their micro sharpening. So that's personally a personal preference of mine. So that's how I rank them. And then LG would be after that, which makes sense because LG really desperately needed a processing upgrade. They needed to upgrade their processing, in my opinion. So to see them doing that this year makes me really excited for the potential of their TVs. So yeah, I think that's how I'd rank them. I would go Sony by far, Samsung, and then LG, not too far behind not too far behind Samsung. So that's how I would rank them. And then TCL and Hisense are after that, of course. They're getting better with processing, but that's really not their strong suit. And then Dex, thank you for the super chat. He says, towards your Apple Vision Pro piggy bank, I appreciate that. That is always appreciated. All right, let's see, where were we at? One sec, let's go full screen here. Okay, so we're gonna go through the TVs as if we're shopping here in a second. So hold on the questions. Um, I will get to them. If you have a question that you absolutely need answered, super chat and you will get that answer right away. Otherwise, I'll have a Q&A session right after I go through all of these. So, yeah. Let me okay, we are caught up on questions. So that's perfect. All right, so let's talk about buying TVs. And I'm going to start with the lower budget here. So, let me get this off of the screen. Still have the super chat up, my bad. All right. So we're gonna start with 65-inch TVs because that is the absolute like sweet spot, I think, for TVs. A lot of people are buying 65-inch TVs most of the time. That's kind of the way to go. And then if you have 77-inch, you buy that S89. See, that's the way. That's the rule. No, that's not the rule. I'll give you some options if you can't quite get to the price of the S89C. But let's go to the 65-inch and sort by price. So we're going to go through budget, right? And so looking through there, you see that the cheapest TV available is this Pioneer for 320. I'm not a big fan of this Pioneer, to be honest with you. Pioneer is not the greatest brand in the world. It's not something that's going to scream quality when you get it. Hopefully, you guys don't fall into that trap because there is going to be better results. So going up from there, let's see what we can get from there. There's the Insignia. I would skip that one. This is the first place where you can really kind of consider it because you are getting 4 HDMI ports. It's a direct lit TV, 4 HDMI ports, 60 hertz, of course, $349. That's probably your best, like cheapest option. From there, you skip everything else up until you get to this TV, and this is what I think everybody should save up for if they are within this bracket, and that's going to be the Hisense U6K. This is also going to have 4 HDMI ports, and it's going to be a mini LED TV. So you're getting local dimming for $549 for a 65-inch TV. All the other TVs within this price bracket are going to be direct lit or edge lit TVs, typically not going to outperform this TV. If you put them side by side, the U6K would not only be brighter, but it would give you better contrast overall as well. So that is why I would say if you are within that $349 range, $400 range, if you can, just pay 150 bucks more to get this. Otherwise, I like that Hisense for 349 down there, the 60 hertz. But this is good. This is also a 60 hertz TV. This is what I would recommend though for that kind of budget selection. Now going up from there, if you want a better TV than the U6K, you will not get one until you get up into the U7K. The U7K will be your first entry into the 120 hertz bracket where you will have 120 hertz gaming with HDMI 2.1 on the U7K. So this will have more dimming zones. It will be able to get brighter than the U6K, and that will be the biggest benefit. So 549 jump to 679. It will be worth it if you are a gamer. If you're not a gamer, it still might be worth it to a certain degree if you have the budget for it, but you have to absolutely have the budget for it. Going up from there, you're not going to find another better TV than this until you get to the QM8 and the Hisense U6K. But I do want to call this out. If you are open box and you have open box near you, absolutely get the LGB2 for 717 if you do have it open box near you for that price. Really good option. But let's say you're just not having that option, then you do have the QM8 available for $899. This is a good one to get if you're within this price range. And then the the U8K is going to be very similar to the QM8. The QM8, the U8K, I would just kind of like look at the reviews on that and just decide which one you would like better. It's really kind of almost the same type of TV. It's really going to be between TCL and Hisense. Which one do you want? They're both Google TV. They're both really great performing TVs, and they were absolutely good values. Compared to something that's not a good value, that is an absolute trap, in my opinion, is that's going to be the 80 series QNED or QNED from LG. This is an edge-lit TV. It does not compete with a local dimming TV. So don't even compare the two. Just get the Hisense or TCL TVs at this price bracket. So going up from there until you get to the X90L for $1099, then that is a good option if you need the image processing. I don't really like where this is sitting price point wise, so I typically think the 75-inch and 85-inch of this TV is a way better value. Then 65-inch is not a great value to me. But going up, you won't find a better TV than the QM8 until you get to the OLED TVs. You have the B3 here as a selection that's absolutely a choice that you could make. And then you have the A75L, and this is where I would start to think if you need an OLED TV with pretty good sound built in, this is an alright TV. The A80L will be better if you need built-in sound, but if you don't need built-in sound, the A75L will be a great selection for an OLED TV. And then going up $100 more, you can get to QD OLED, which I absolutely still think that the 65-inch S90C is the best bang for your buck in this price bracket. It is going to be the gaming TV, in my opinion. If you need a gaming TV, this is the one you want to go with. And I would absolutely get it over the C3. I don't see many reasons for people to get a C3 over the S90C unless they just absolutely want an LG OLED and they like the LG interface, or they just do not trust Samsung with their updating and things like that. But we're talking about purely performance. It's no question about it, the S90C is a better TV. And if you don't want Samsung, I wouldn't go with the C3 personally. I would go with the A75L. It's just better overall in terms of the C3. So going up from there, if you don't want an OLED TV and you just want like one of the better um, mini LED TVs that's going to have very similar contrast performance, but not quite there to an OLED level, because no mini LED TV can get to an OLED level. But if you want to get close, the QN90C is going to be my choice. That and the X93L. You go with the X93L if you don't really like how Samsung does things with the way that they do their local dimming. Sometimes they crush out some details. That's going to be a problem for some people. And then the processing is better on the X93L. Image processing is going to be better. But overall, like contrast performance is going to be better on the QN90C. So it's going to be two different philosophies there. Which one you're going to like better? I think most people will like the QN90C better, but the X93L is still worth considering at this price point. But I still think OLED is going to trump both of those TVs, so S90C or A75L. And from there, you're not going to find a better TV unless you go with one of the premium OLED TVs, and that's going to be the G3 or the S95C. Now, the S95C to me is way too similar to the S90C, so I just kind of like say don't get the S95C at this point, especially with the price point that the S90C is sitting at. That's where I would do. Especially if you consider that for $17.99 you can actually just get a 77-inch S89C, and that's what I would do if you have the space. The 65-inch G3, it's a great TV. It's absolutely a great TV, a great value. It comes with a 5-year panel warranty, and it does come with the stand. If you buy it from Best Buy, you're getting the stand with it, so you don't have to worry about the stand. But it does come with the mounting bracket if you're going to mount it on the wall, so that's also a benefit to people that are going to wall mount their TVs. And after that, the only upgrade you'll find after that is going to be the A95L QD OLED, and this is also going to be one of the TVs that you buy if you absolutely need the best. You just want the best. You just want the best. You don't care about the value proposition. You just want the best. And this is the best. This is the best TV. It's the best TV for everything in terms of everything that I reviewed on it. I like the gaming better than any other TV. I like the movie watching experience better than any other TV. There's still some quirks and issues with it, but it still is the best TV even when you factor all of those things in. It's just not the best value. So if you're not looking to spend a lot of money, don't even try to stretch your budget to this because it's not worth going into debt for a TV. If you can afford this TV and you can justify the cost, get this TV. It's a fantastic TV. But if you can't, go with the S90C. That's the better value. So taking you through those, like that'll help you understand the way that I look at the value, and I jump from what's the best value in this price bracket to that price bracket. So hopefully that's a little bit easier. Yeah. Hopefully that is a bit easier to understand. So yeah, let me look through chat here. We can see some questions. Yeah, Hisense is just killing it in terms of the cheap TVs, and so is TCO. So is TCO. It's great. Progs, I wish I could really explain this. This is a good question. He said, "Can you explain how does something like the S89C even come out? Like, does Best Buy give Samsung a bag of cash, make a model, then stop selling the S90C in store? Why would they do it, etc." Well, the funny thing is they didn't stop selling the S90C, and I don't know exactly how the S89C came about. I think originally the S89C might have originally I think it was maybe supposed to be a WOLED because in Europe, when they presented this TV as a possibility, it was absolutely supposed to be a WOLED by all reports and indications, which is what tricked all of us, including myself, into believing that the S89C was a WOLED. And I think that was the original plan for it. But the way that they were doing the panels is they just didn't do any WOLED 77-inch panels. They didn't buy any. Maybe they were supposed to buy some, it fell through. Now, this year that could change because we do have the S85D coming. More on that later. But I think maybe the original plan was it was going to be a WOLED panel, and maybe the deal fell through that they were going to purchase WOLED panels from LG Display for that size. So that's the speculation on what could have happened. And also, it's missing the base plate. Like the stand is literally just missing the base plate of the S90C. So it's the same exact stand, just missing the top part of the stand, the plate that goes over the stand itself. So that's a little odd. So maybe they just didn't make enough base plates, and well, they couldn't sell it as an S90C because it didn't have the base plate. So let's sell it as the S89C. And since they don't have the base plate, maybe they can cut them a deal or something. I don't know how much of a deal you get cut from missing the base plate, but it's something to think about. It's absolutely nobody really knows why they did it, but there's a lot of speculation that can go into it regarding all of that. But still to this day, people get confused that the S89C is a WOLED. It is not. It is a QD OLED. It has always been a QD OLED, and everything else was just like information based on a different region that we thought we still had coming to our region, the same TV. As far as I know, I don't even know if there is a European S89C. I think this is just a US model, and I think it is only strictly specifically sold at Best Buy. That's what I think. So that's what it was. Like I think that's a possibility, right? Mm, let's look through chat here. Let's see. So yeah. Anyway, sale will be over in the morning. I don't believe so. A lot of these TV prices are going to hold over the week. They are the Super Bowl TV sales. Hey, no problem. It's always fun to answer those kind of questions. All right, let's look through some chat. So see if we missed anything here. EHJ says go Broncos. Hopefully LG's new processor will work in game mode to unlock things. Yes, and yes, go Broncos. Hopefully we get something this week, this off season. Hopefully we need something, right? Something. I don't even know what's wrong. Quarterback, maybe. Let's see what we got. LG C series versus the A80L. I like the A80L better. I think it's an overall better TV. Processing seems better. Highlight performance seems better. And that's what I'm seeing. So is the S89C a first gen or second gen panel? It's always a second gen panel because there is no first generation 77-inch TV of that panel. So don't worry about it. It will always be a second generation. I mean, unless they for some reason want to use a third generation in it, but it's second generation for sure. Daniel P says, I just purchased the S89C to replace my A80J. For warranties, I strongly recommend the Assurion Home Plus, $25 a month. Covers all tech in your home. I use it myself, and I'm also a rep for the company, so tag me if interested. Thank you, Daniel P. Appreciate the super chat and the advice. Awesome. Let's see. We got a Niner gang person here, so he's excited about the Super Bowl. That was crazy last week, that game. In a house with the Lions fans watching that game was a sad situation. But yeah, congrats to the 49ers. I hope you guys beat the Chiefs because I absolutely hate the Chiefs. So please beat the Chiefs so we don't have to watch a Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift marriage proposal. Um, Lions gift wrap the Super Bowl. They really did. There's no sad way, there's no happy way to say that. Brad Gray says KC Chiefs, by the way, live in KC. Hey man, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, it's just I personally can't like the Chiefs. Can't root for the Chiefs. They're in my division, and they've terrorized my Broncos over the last 10 years almost. So yeah, they hurt. It hurts. Yeah, we choked. Go Lions. Yeah, unfortunate. Unfortunate. But hey, you got the national championship with the Wolverines, so there's that. There's that. All right. Let's go back into Best Buy and look through some deals. Let's look through some deals. So I'm gonna go full screen real quick. Let's look through some deals. All right. So what about 77? Well, there's only one choice, right? There's the S89C right here. Only one choice. You can get an open box for 1600. So check your open box places if you have a way to get the TV to you. Some stores will deliver open box. Some stores won't. Just really depends on your store. Let's see. Yes, it is the same panel. Oh man, Daniel is a Raiders fan. Can't beat the Raiders for some reason. The Broncos have struggled to beat the Raiders in the last couple years. It's kind of making me mad, but yeah, I can't talk trash to Raiders fans anymore because of that, and it makes me sad. But yep, same panel. Andrew says, will there be any early review of the G4, you think? Seems like sometimes reviewers get invited to early access. When do we think Sony will announce their 2024 lineup? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything personally on the G4. I haven't been invited to anything personally on the G4. Neither have I with like Sony. Um, Sony is kind of keeping things close to their chest right now. They're keep saying that their announcement will take place close to their release date. With that in mind, I would say like earliest you'll probably hear something is March. TVs typically release late March to early April. So yeah, in regards to LG, I don't know. Um, there might be something pretty soon with one of the display shows, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's an international one. There could be something with the G4 there, or we might just start seeing things in the wild. Last year, around early February, we saw the S95C pop up. Then shortly after that, the G3. So yeah. Tyler says he is liking his new S90C, but I gotta say, picture depth leaves a bit to be desired. I also thought the colors looked a bit pure on the C10. Ended up turning down gamma and shadow detail to mitigate. Tyler, have you tried to mess with the HDR tone mapping at all? Because sometimes some people will prefer active tone mapping over static tone mapping. So out of the box, the different modes will be movie and filmmaker mode. Filmmaker mode will be in the static tone mapping, and movie mode will be in the active tone mapping. So try those two out and see which one gives you a better sense of depth, or because a lot of times that's what it comes down to for people. So try that out. See if you like that better. KG, did you see Sony's mini LED? Yeah, I did. I actually did a video talking about it. So if you haven't seen the video that I did already, go check that out. So I did a video, talked about my experience with the Sony Mini LED. I went very in depth on it. I talked about the demos that I saw. I saw it next to an S90C and a QN90C, and I talked about that in that video. And I saw it next to an X95L as well. I don't think it's going to be OLED by any means in terms of contrast performance. It's not going to go to that level, but it can get close, and if it can get close enough and be much brighter or have more HDR impact, then it is on the radar for me. And it is something that I highly would suggest waiting and seeing if you're a mini LED fan to see like what the results of that is going to be. Because from what I saw with the prototype, I saw enough to make me say I can consider an LED TV again. Because I was on the train of thinking that I probably won't go with a LED TV personally unless I get an 85-inch next year or the year after that. Like that, this makes me excited. Even with the thought of a 4000 nit OLED, you still can't uh get to the same type of performance as you can with like your contrast. So that's the thing that you'll have to remember. Your OLEDs are always going to win in contrast, but I was more impressed with the HDR impact from the prototype than I was with the S95C that was there. So take that for what it's worth. I liked the HDR performance, and it makes me really excited about the potential of mini LED. Hey KG, love the channel. I appreciate the love, man. Thank you. Let's see. Whoops, so many videos of that. Might have missed it. Yeah, it's my latest video on the channel. Um, so definitely check it out. It is a long one. It's not that long, but it's longer than what I usually do. All right, so let's go through Best Buy. And just because we're going through Best Buy, doesn't mean like all the deals are only at Best Buy. That's not the case. That's just I like browsing Best Buy because it's easy to navigate. That's not available right now. Let's see. Deal of the day. Deal of the day. No TVs on deal of the day. I'm curious to see like what their best selling TVs are right now. No surprise. Look at that. The best selling TV right now is the S89C. So people are absolutely buying this TV. If you are buying this TV, please buy from my affiliate link. It will help out the channel. And I appreciate you guys for doing that. But like, yeah, this is the absolute TV to buy. It's crazy because like you usually don't even see TVs like this on the best selling list. You usually see just like Insignia and then the cheaper Samsung TVs. But the fact that you could see the S89C on their best selling list means they're selling a ton. They're selling a ton right now. Yeah, so absolutely grab that TV. Cause I'll be surprised if it doesn't sell out. If it doesn't sell out, that means they made so many of these. Like they made so many of these, it looks like. Is that the best TV deal right now? It is. It is. Um like I mentioned, the if you're in the 55-inch range, the A75L is not too far behind. Not too far behind. Hmm. Let's look through chats here. Catch up on some questions. For a couple $100. Yeah, cleaning Qt OLED is kind of a pain. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's definitely one of the reasons why I think like that new finish isn't that bad. Because if it makes cleaning the Qt OLED a little bit easier, that'd be nice. Um, I think I'm caught up with chat here. So if you guys have any questions, now would be the great time to ask them, and I will answer all of them right now. So if you have any questions, last call for questions. So I answer a bunch of questions and then we'll get out of here. But I want to make sure we get everybody's questions asked. So do ask your questions. Only first gen QD OLED was annoying to clean. Second gen is fine. Uh, they seem the same to me. Let's see what we got here. Hmm. Are all 83-inch OLED panels W OLED? Um, yeah, so they're all W OLED, and but this year the G3 is going to be a W OLED with MLA. So that's the only difference this year is that the G4 is going to be a W OLED with MLA this year. Is the G3 worth it at 55 inches? Um, nah, it's not bad. I believe it's 17.99 right now, and then you get a 5-year warranty with it. If you factor all those things in, and if you're mounting your TV anyway, it can make a lot of sense to go with the G3 as the TV of choice. So yeah, it's not a bad deal at 55 inches at all. I think the best 55-inch OLED deal right now is the A75L by far at 11.99. Really interesting that the S90C is not 12.99 to match the C3. That's still 14.99. That's kind of a bummer, but yeah. Have you done a review of the U76? And no, I haven't, and I really don't plan to. Because it's gonna be a hard TV to get your hands on in time for reviews to matter, and then it's a 100-inch TV, so it's gonna be hard to find space for a 100-inch TV. Nope. Let's see. All right, so if you guys have questions, um, leave them in the chat. I think I hit all of them, most of them. There may be some new ones. I'm scrolling down and looking. All right, here's one from Cool Breeze. Um, he says, "Hi KG, 65-inch G3 or C3 for gaming, streaming sports movies on the Apple TV. Room is moderately bright during the day, and I do have blackout curtains. So you have the ability to control your room, which is great. But I personally think that if you're looking at the C3, just get the S90C. Um, Especially talking about gaming and stuff. But if you just decided you don't want to deal with Samsung for some reason, or you don't want a Sony, then go with the G3 over the C3. Absolutely, I would. I would definitely pay the extra for a G3 if I was in the situation where I only wanted a LG TV for whatever reason. For whatever reason, I'm not judging what those reasonings are, but let's just say you've narrowed it down to those two choices and that's the only two choices you can consider. Then I would spend the extra for the G3, and I think that significant difference that you will see going from a G3 to a C3 is absolutely worth it. Hopefully that helps. But if you aren't like reliant on any brand, Absolutely look at the S90C. It is going to be the best bang for your buck. Does the S89Z have anti-reflective matte screen or the glossy? It still has the same glossy screen as the S90C and the S95C. Only the S95D will have that new anti-reflective finish. Watching on my 55-inch A75L right now. Yeah, I mean that deal is crazy. It's actually just a really good deal. 11.99 for a great OLED TV. I like it better than the C3 personally. Can't really go wrong with that one. So I answered this already, but I'll answer it again. Yes, it is the same panel. Did Sony give any hints when their new fancy mini LEDs are going to be available? They did not. They didn't even say if it was going to be available this year. They just showed it as a prototype and left it at that. If I had to guess or, put two and two together, I would guess that it is coming this year. I would guess that it would be closer to a July, August release than anything else. I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. Not Slip says, KG, I only watch movies as this is my home theater living room. I currently have an older Sony LCD LED 65-inch, and I'd like to move up to a 75-inch, 85-inch TV, considering the X95L or the Samsung S95C. If you're looking at that size range and you're looking at an S95C, absolutely consider the 77-inch S89C. We'll go back to it because it is that good. Um, and I will highlight it once again. But absolutely consider this. If you're not in a position to get it at Best Buy, then the S95C is not something that I would grab over the S90C. So I would definitely grab the S90C over the um S95C. But if you can get the S89C, get it. It is the same TV as the S95C pretty much. The same TV, and you can even do um some googling or just talk to Classy about it, and he can kind of walk you through on how to make it a S95C. But I do not endorse this. Just saying, I don't know what it will do. Just do it at your own risk, if you will. But yeah, definitely look into the S89C. It is such a fantastic TV. Here, I'll link it to you even. Here it is, S89C. And that is an affiliate link. So if you do end up buying it on that affiliate link, it helps out the channel. And I thank you so much for doing it. Um, there's a question from Raja says, NVIDIA upscaling, is it better? Or NVIDIA Shield upscaling plus Sony upscaling, does that make the quality better? So the way that the NVIDIA upscaling works is I believe it is separate from the TV's upscaling. I'm not sure which one handles which or which one will take priority. That Classy, you know the NVIDIA Shield more than I do right now because I've never dealt with the NVIDIA Shield. So if you know the answer to this question, if you could help this man out, that'd be great. Thanks. Here's a question: are you upgrading your TV at all for the 2024 lineup? Um, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. So there's a lot of variables that go into what TVs I keep and what I don't keep. If I'm upgrading, it's going to be for the channel to keep for comparison purposes. In terms of like personal TVs, I don't see an upgrade anytime soon for that reasoning. But for the channel, for comparison sakes, I might end up grabbing whatever I feel is like the best comparison TV. That might be one of the ones I go with. It's a possibility. I haven't ruled anything out yet. I oftentimes can get um swayed when I look at some of the TV reviews. I'll be like, okay, maybe I should get this for the channel next year because it will compare good to other TVs. And when I say compare good, it means like I'll get a TV if I think it's the top notch TV that every TV needs to live up to next year or something like that. Like last year, I almost grabbed the A95L 77-inch, but it ended up selling out. And then I was like, by the time I get this, it's not gonna matter that much. And then 77-inch was way too big anyway. So yeah, I just decided not to grab anything last year because I'm just probably gonna grab things this year to compare when I need them. So hopefully that makes sense. It doesn't make sense too much to me. I'm trying to figure that one out. On what I'm gonna get still. Guess on the Broncos record next season, we are hurting big time right now. Oh god, I hate to guess a record because it scares me to even think about it, man. It really depends on what we do. If we get Russell back, if we go the Russell get Russell back, make our team better route, I honestly think we could be a wild card team. Now, that's probably our ceiling though. Like so 9-10 wins is not off the like possibility if we keep Russ and we build our team. If we get rid of Russ, we go rookie quarterback route. Yeah, 7 to 8 wins is like what I'd hope for. But I could see less. It really depends on what we do. Now, if for some reason we get like Kirk Cousins or something, I don't know. Then maybe we could go 10 wins. Possible. It's so much quarterback controversy, question marks. I don't really even know how to answer that question. I wish I knew, man. How's the low bitrate streaming on the S89C compared to the Sony OLED? It's not terrible. It's not gonna be like if you get the S89C, you're gonna have bad low bit rate. Like this is a common misconception. It's not terrible. It's just not as good as Sony. That's the best way I could put it. Like you can get away with the S89C, absolutely. It'll be fine. It'll clean things up. You might have some artifacts here and there, but it's really rare from what I've experienced, and it wasn't something that ever really made me hate the low bit rate experience from my Samsungs that I tested. Same thing with LG is like I never really hated the experience, but I could tell that the Sony's just cleaned it up so much better, and everything was just better through the Sony. So, absolutely would say the Sony is better than the S89C, but the S89C is not horrible. And when I say the S89C, that applies to the S90C, the S95C, and the S95B. It applies to all of those. So, yeah, 6 and 11. I would cry. I think I might be very sad if there's a 6 and 11 season on the horizon. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Oh man. All right. It looks like we are here to wrap it up. Looks like we are at the point that we will be wrapping it up. Thanks to everybody for stopping by. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And if you have any questions that I didn't answer, for some reason you didn't answer them, put them in the comments. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend, the rest of your weekend, and enjoy. See you guys next time. Peace.